all of them, by having a channel of TV or radio or whatever. And the government should support this idea financially, because it will help and it will cost less than the war. I have already 2 big books, each one about 1,000 pages or less, the other one. And I was requested this during the time of 1980. I am member of interface between Jewish, Christian, and Muslim in New York. From 1980, I got the position of assistant manager of the Islamic Center of New York, and I'm ready to give it to your office. Just take a look. The side, I was raised in a Catholic school, French Catholic school in Egypt, where I enjoy my life between friend, Jewish, Christian, and Muslim, and work at the same time for 30 years with one of the biggest French company in Egypt.
Yeah, I think you make a good point about the need for education. And the media can be one of the best mechanisms to convey the responsible and appropriate characterizations of faith and of people and goodness. Unfortunately, though, there are forces of evil in the world that we need to be able to confront continuously. That's where I think education, and I'm not just talking about vocational training or education in the sciences and literature, it's education about who we are as a people on this planet, exposing people more to the different races and cultures and identities that exist worldwide. Because I find that ignorance comes out of a lack of knowledge as opposed to exposure. The more we can expose the American people to others, I think the more progress we'll make. Let's go over here.
Hi, Mr. Brennan. Thank you for coming here, and thank you for the Islamic Center to invite just not Muslims, but even non-Muslims like myself. My name is Nikunj Trivedi, and I'm from the Hindu Students Council. My question to you is, in your remarks, you said that the president has has promised to fight against negative stereotypes of different faiths. Right after 9/11, on September 23rd, I was attacked personally on campus at Rutgers because of this whole negative portrayal of various faiths. And the remark that the person actually made was, you Muslims, you Hindus, you're all the same. You all come from, backward India and, Pakistan and stuff like that. Now, what is the administration's effort or what initiative does the administration have to include Hindu Americans in this dialogue as well? Because I think this is the first time that I've been invited here, and many of the Hindu Americans have been invited in such a great dialogue about the nation's security. Because we are about 2 million strong, and like you said, just like Muslim Americans, Hindu Americans also are in various parts of the administration. So what is the administration's initiative in including Hindu Americans in this dialogue?
You're absolutely right that this dialogue has to be one that is truly interfaith and of the multiple faiths that we have within this country. Last year, Prime Minister Singh from India was the only foreign head of state who was accorded a state dinner. And it was a way to highlight and, in fact, put the spotlight on how much we and India have in common, but also I think it shone brightly differences. But differences that, again, that are not supposed to separate us. So, when I hear that maybe this is the first time you're here, but we really need to be able to bring these different representatives together more often. We take pride in our identities. Again, we can take pride in the fact that we're a Hindu, a Muslim, or that we're an American or something else. But as I was mentioning in my remarks, we have these multiple identities, and we really need to emphasize that which joins us. And the people in this room, U.S. citizens, U.S. persons, whatever, or just living here in the United States, we share a common bond that we need to celebrate more often. So this is reaching out to the Hindu community, to the Jewish community, the Christian community, to the Buddhist community, and others are things that I think the President is very determined to do. He is, without a doubt, the best spokesperson for the United States government right now. He can connect with people. He's such an articulate and eloquent spokesperson. But what we need to do as a government is to spend more time in groups like this, because it's something that I think is going to, catch on. I think, a lot of people want to be involved, want to help to break down these walls of ignorance that separate us. Trying to. Let's go back there.
Thank you. My name is Bobby Khan. I'm founder of Coney Island Enemy Project. I'm proud Pashtun, which is 6,000 years old history, and then Muslim, and then Pakistani, and now New Yorker. I really want to bring up, that we keep raising, that here and back home too. I was born and raised in Pakistan. My grandparents migrated from Afghanistan. That the same, mistakes has been repeated, and we haven't seen any change. That's the same stereotyping and the same criminal are being dealt, or the Pakistan Army back home, which is the collaborative in the war on terror. Those are the really terrorists themselves, and they're created mullahs and Taliban. Those are created by Pakistan Army, and here too. The innocent person like Siraj Mateen and several others, those were convicted by criminal informants just to save their skins, and that practice is still going on. And the person like us, those are called the person of interest. Whenever we go across the border and come back, we took like 6 to 7 hours. We had strip searches, and myself, my 2-year-old daughter was searched. It was a hand-packed search, and was told that when we raised questions, we're told that your name is a person of interest, and that person of interest is fighting for democracy, for secular and progressive doctrine, for most of his life. What Obama administration is doing, we are seeing the same policies are being followed.
The administration is trying to address those policies specifically. And I think the aftermath of December 25th is probably a good discussion point, because it's a controversial one. After that attempted attack, there were 14 nations or so whose citizens were put on the list for secondary screening. And believe me, I've had a number of people and a number of foreign countries call to complain about that. And I understand their concerns. However, sometimes when something happens that shocks us from a security standpoint, in an overabundance of caution, we implement certain strategies and actions that we believe are necessary to ensure the best we can the safety of American citizens. We are reviewing that process right now, and I've met with a number of foreign ambassadors and others that we are going to be recalibrating that as it needs to be, now that we have a better sense of what actually happened at that day. So we're trying to address those policies the best we can to make sure that we at least have a framework that is fair, that is non-prejudicial, and that optimizes security while at the same time optimizes civil liberties. But we still are a nation of people, and policies will be implemented by individuals. And sometimes subjective judgments come into play when somebody has to apply that policy. And as we talked before, the issue of discrimination and prejudice is something that frequently is ingrained in people because that's the way they either grew up or were taught, or they come from a certain environment where that is the norm rather than the exception. And it takes quite a bit of time for that to change in an individual as well as in a community. I mentioned before that I'm a son of an immigrant. My father immigrated here from Ireland when he was about 28 years old. And in the United States, for many, many years, there were signs on doors that, Irish need not apply. Irish had to go through that same type of discrimination and prejudice, as did the Italians, as did Germans, Asians, others. Unfortunately, the richness of the diversity that we have that should enrich us too often does separate us. And that's why I think we need to be looking at ourselves as individuals, not the way we look or the creed we have or our ethnic background. Look at us. I consider myself a citizen of the world. And that's what President Obama is trying to do, make sure that we as America can interact with the rest of the world in a safe and secure way. And trying to calibrate then and balance these policies in a way, again, that optimizes national security and optimizes the opportunity for people in this country never to be profiled, never to be discriminated against. It's going to take many, many years. Back here? I'm sorry, the one behind you. Yes. We'll get you next.
Appreciate your remarks. My name is Layla Buck. My mom's Lebanese. My dad was an American diplomat who was actually in Saudi Arabia, I think, at the same time we were. And one of the things that I appreciate about what you said is that we need to look upstream in terms of fighting terrorism. And I have two questions. My primary question is the relationship between terrorism and our foreign policy, which we haven't really talked about. And as I'm sure you know from spending time in the Middle East, a lot of the fuel for terrorist activity and al-Qaeda